In 1972, Lester Grinspoon, a medical historian, had a son with cancer who was going through chemotherapy. After every chemo session, his son would throw up all the way home, and when he got home, he would lay in bed throwing up. One day, he heard about medical marijuana, but he didn't want to try it with his son because it was illegal. His wife went behind his back and smoked with her son before he went to chemo one day. That day, on the way home, his son didn't get sick at all, and when he did get home, he asked for something to eat. Marijuana legalization has been a big issue in the U.S. for many years. Those against legalization have several reasons. They say it's a gateway drug, it accompanies other crimes, and that it has no medical purposes. It does have medical purposes, and in my opinion, it's safer than alcohol and cigarettes. In some states, marijuana is already used for medicinal purposes, one being California. It is being used for anything from chronic pain to AIDS. Parloff's research in O'Shaughnessy claims one doctor reported that his cannabis patients had either stopped or cut back their use of analgesics of all kinds, including Tylenol, aspirin, and opiates, psychotherapeutic agents including anti-anxiety medications, antidepressants, anti-panic, obsessive-compulsive, antipsychotic, and bipolar agents, gastrointestinal agents including antispasmodics and anti-inflammatory medications, migraine preparations, anticonvulsants, appetite stimulants, immunomodulators, and immunosuppressives, muscle relaxants, multiple sclerosis management medications, ophthalmic preparations, sedative and hypnotic agents, and Tourette syndrome agents. Marijuana is less addictive than all the medicines that I just listed. In fact, a list of marijuana myths by Paul Hager, chair of ICLU Drug Task Force number 12, says no one has ever died from a marijuana overdose because marijuana is safer than all of those drugs as well. There have been a growing number of accidental deaths from prescription medicines and painkillers, all of which are in the list that I just gave. Marijuana is not any more dangerous than alcohol or cigarettes, which are both legal in the United States today. The long-term effects of cigarettes and alcohol are worse than that of marijuana. There are no cases in which a person who only smokes marijuana has developed cancer of any kind, and there are several cases of cancer that go along with smoking and drinking alcohol on a regular basis. After several tests, marijuana has not shown any lasting side effects other than the risk of cancer or respiratory complications, but the risk is less than. In this chart, it shows nicotine, alcohol, and marijuana. In all of these categories, except for intoxication on nicotine, they are all higher than on marijuana. We can see how marijuana can be used to help treat sick people. Now let's see how we can use it to save money for our government. Billions of dollars are spent every year on drug prevention programs, prosecuting drug offenders and incarcerating drug offenders that could be avoided. In 2006, the United States and local governments spent $10.3 billion on marijuana arrests alone. This does not even account for the billions more we spend on prosecuting and keeping them incarcerated. California saved $857 million in 2006 with the decriminalization of marijuana. If it were legalized, there would be tax income from marijuana sales. It would also create jobs in America. There would be need for people to grow, regulate, and package and sell the marijuana. This would generate income tax for another pro for the legalization of marijuana is that the crime rate would decrease. The amount of arrests would go down. Organized crime would lose income, therefore they would lose power. Drug dealers would lose their power over druggies that come to them and they sell them higher drugs that in turn makes them more addicted. Now we see how marijuana can be safe. Let's talk about how we can regulate it. Marijuana would need to have regulations similar to cigarettes and alcohol. No one under the age of 18 should be allowed to purchase or smoke it unless they have a prescription from their physician. No one would be allowed to drive under the influence of marijuana, just like with alcohol. Drugs and alcohol of any kind would not be allowed in the workplace. Marijuana would not be allowed to be smoked in places that have no smoking signs. And it would also be up to businesses that do allow smoking whether they wanted to let it happen in their I believe with the right restrictions, it is a good idea for the United States government to legalize marijuana. It is just as safe for us to use as it is for us to use cigarettes and alcohol. The legalization of marijuana will bring in a tremendous amount of tax dollars. It is time for us to stop fighting a losing battle with marijuana and cash in on the medical and monetary gains it has to bring. Thank you.